In a previous episode, we went ahead and painted this hood with the Wagner Flexio 4300. This is an all-in-one paint system that's designed to spray your house or your fence. It's not really designed for automotive painting, but we painted this side of the hood with the Flexio and this side with a conventional spray gun, and it actually came out pretty decent. There is a little bit more texture and peel in this side of the hood as compared to this side, but there's not really a whole lot of difference. And I am planning on doing some more videos on this system, painting with this system. This system actually did a very good job for what it is. I was pretty impressed with it. I did get a lot of comments to share how we can wet sand and buff this side to get it to look like an OEM factory finish. So that's what we're gonna do today. If you wanna see the videos where I spray with this gun, I'll leave a thumbnail at the end of this video. Now this hood has been sitting around for about a month. In fact, it had some overspray on it. I had to really kind of quickly clean that off. But as you can see, it's got some texture in here. Over here, we got a little bit of heavier texture. We got some droplets that were in our paint. But you're gonna be amazed with how well this comes out. So this is totally cured, and it may be a little bit more difficult to sand. What I like to do is I like to do my first cut on a panel that I painted about 1 to 2 days after I paint it. 1 to 2 days seems to be the sweet spot. That makes it really easy to get that first layer cut, and then I'll let it dry up for a day or so if I can, and then buff it the next day. But I do my initial cut with 2000 grit sandpaper. Now some guys like to go a little bit coarser, like a 1500 or 1000, and to be honest with you, this has enough texture that I could probably use a 1500. The reason I like to start with 2000, it's a less aggressive scratch, so it's a little bit easier to polish out. We'll sand it with 2000, we'll sand it with 3000, and then 5000, and then I'll share with you how we polish it out and what pads we use. If I had just painted this yesterday or the day before, I would hand sand this, and this is the sandpaper I would hand sand it with, 3M 2000 grit sandpaper. Fresh paint, the reason I like to use the 2000 grit on fresh paint is because this sandpaper with the orbital sander is going to gum up this paper, and it's going to create little curlicues in the clear coat that are very difficult to get out. So what happens is, because the clear is not fully cured, what it does is it gums up on this paper and it leaves those little curlicues. Now because this has been sitting up for a month, I'm going to go ahead and use the orbital sander and DA this with 2000 grit sandpaper. And then we'll go to the Trizac 3000 grit, which is, this is a soft foam piece of sandpaper. They're kind of expensive. They're about $10 a piece. And then we may hit it with 5000. Let's go ahead and sand it with the 2000 grit. We're going to use this dry. And what we want to do is we want to knock out any of this orange peel. See in that light how it's got that texture? We want to flatten that out and smooth it out. We've got 2 coats of clear on this. This is plenty of clear to get this done. For the sake of making this a quick video, I'm not going to do this entire hood. What I'm going to do is a section right here. This is the worst section, okay? Over there it's a little bit smoother, there's less orange peel, but this has a little bit more peel, it has some dust. So we'll do this section here. That way we have a good comparison of a fully polished section as opposed to an unpolished section of the hood. We're going to just go at a medium speed. And you can see the texture. And you'll be able to see how it starts to flatten out. So I'm just holding the sander flat. Now, periodically you do want to clean off your paper. I just wipe it on my pants. And as you can see, there's no gumming up of this paper right now because this clear coat is pretty much fully cured. If I were to do this 2 days after I painted this, we would have some clear gumming up this paper and creating issues. You can see the texture in that clear coat. And you can see where it's starting to smooth out. Now, sometimes waiting a long time, a month or 2 months, to sand your clear coat, the clear can be very difficult to sand. Some clears are harder to sand than others, just depending on the products that you're using. All right, let's just wipe this off and take a look at it now. That's a little dirt particle. You can see there's still some texture left in here. Let's see if we can get this a little bit better. All right, there it is. And you see how that basically took out all of that orange peel. There's just a little bit left in there, but that's okay. You don't need to take out every single, unless you want a show car finish, you don't need to take out every little bit of orange peel. Okay, so this is 3000 grit Trizac. Like I said, these are about 10 bucks a piece. They used to be 7. Now they went up. We're gonna put it on our orbital sander here. We've got a little bit of water here. I'm just gonna do half this because I want to show you the difference between 3000 and 2000. So I'll do this half on this side. I got a little soap in this water here. But with the 3000, you want to take your time with the 3000. Go over a little bit more with the 3000 because from 2000 to 3000, you really want to get it really sanded well with the 3000. Might add a little more water here. Well, I didn't really mention this, but before you start any of this, you want to make sure your panel is clean. Just so simple soap and water, clean it really well before you start doing any sanding. And the reason for that is if you get a particle of dust underneath your sandpaper, that's going to scratch the clear coat, and you don't want that to happen. So let's just wipe this down. So over here, 2000. You get over here, 3000. I think you can see that on camera. Now the 3000, it doesn't really, like if you didn't hit this with 2000 first and just hit it with 3000, 3000 just removes fine scratches. It's not going to do any kind of sanding on orange peel or anything like that. So here's 5000 grit Trizac. This paper might be a little bit worn, but we're going to go over it again. I'll just do half of it so you can see the difference. I'll just do this half. Now this is going to put almost like a gloss on it. It actually starts to shine it up a little bit. All right, let's dry it out. Dry it off. Now it's starting to shine a little bit. Now this isn't as noticeable, but I think you're going to be able to see it. So can you see that? 5000. And you can see it in the light there. 5000, 3000. I'll hit this whole thing with 5000. And I'll show you how we polish it. Okay, so there's a lot of different style pads you can use. You can use a wool pad, you can use foam pads. I prefer foam pads personally, and for what I use it for, refining these scratches down to 5000 or 3000, these are the only 2 pads I need. In fact, I could probably get by with this, which is just a polishing pad. It's very soft, doesn't have a lot of cut to it. The white pad has a little bit more cut to it, so I use this first. And as far as the polish I can use, again, there's a lot of different polishes you can use. You don't need a real aggressive polish if you're going through the process that I'm going through here. This is just a finishing polish. It does have some cut to it, but it's not a real aggressive polish. I do like this polish. It's very close between the CSI and 3M, but I do prefer the CSI just a little bit better. Start out with the white pad, white foam pad. I am going to use a rotary buffer. So again, there's different style buffers. The rotary buffer, which just spins in one direction, a lot easier to burn through with a rotary buffer than like an orbital buffer, which is an oscillating buffer. So it would oscillate in different directions. That's an orbital. okay? The rotary cuts a little bit better, but it does take a little bit of practice. You got to be very careful with the edges. You don't want to be real aggressive with this as far as pressing down on it or pushing down on it. You don't want to go through edges. You want to always be aware of how this is spinning. So this spins clockwise, so you want to spin away from an edge. I don't want to buff into an edge you could really easily burn through. So we're just going to start off by putting I'll do half of this so you can see the difference. We're just going to start off by putting a little bit on here. You can put it on the pad, you can put it on the panel. We'll just work it in a little bit, and then we'll just do medium speed. I got this set at 1800, but I'm not going to go full blast. I'll start out slow. Ramp it up a little bit. I mainly hit it flat, but when I come back, I'll tilt the edge. I'll tip this far edge up just a little bit. See how I'm kind of rocking it? That's just how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. So one like 30-second pass, and there you have it. It needs a little bit more polishing. We'll hit it again. Now I'll go over this whole thing now. And this is about as big a section as I work at one time. When I'm doing a whole hood or whatever. And I will ramp up the speed a little bit. See how I'm going away from the edge when I go through here? That buffer's spinning away from the edge. Now I'm looking in the light to see if I see any fine scratches. If I do, I'll work over that a couple extra times. So I do see some scratches right here in the center. I'll just work over that. Might be an area I didn't get sanded real well with the 3000. We'll just have to work those scratches out. But we're going to go over it one more time. I think we'll put on the black pad. And this is just demonstration hood. I'm not trying to make this perfect. This is just to demo how to do it. Okay, there you have the fully polished OEM style finish. It's pretty flat. It's not as flat as it could be. It could be even a little bit flatter, but if you look in the light, you can see how smooth that is. Now when we come over here where we did not buff it, keep your eye on that light right there, okay? When we come over here, right here you can see that orange peel. See the different texture? So heavy orange peel over here. You look at that light, and then when you come in, you got a nice glossy finish. Buffing and polishing makes all the difference in the world, and if you want an OEM style finish or a show car finish, you're gonna wet sand and buff it. There you go, that's how you wet sand and buff your clear coat. It's gonna come in real handy if you're using one of these electric sprayers. And if you wanna check out the video on the Wagner electric sprayer, you can check out one of these videos here. Listen, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. I will be doing some more painting with the Wagner 4300. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate each and every one of you watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Garage Noise.